In a remarkable turn of events, an abused dog successfully escaped from the clutches of its abusive owners. By sheer luck, a compassionate stranger, a true dog lover, came across the distressed animal and decided to take her under their wing. Little did they know what followed would leave them utterly astonished, forever altering the course of their lives. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson Elliot resided in the eastern region of Scotland. Their decision to live a childless life after 4 decades of marriage. It was not due to fertility issues, but a deliberate choice they made together. They relished their harmonious companionship, finding immense joy in each other's presence. Throughout their 40-year journey, the notion of changing their resolution never crossed their minds. Their substantial wealth meant that they had the means to provide for numerous children, either through birth or adoption. However, they had firmly decided to safeguard the sanctity of their love and refrain from allowing anyone else to enter their special bond. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson Elliot had witnessed countless instances where couples seemed to lose themselves and neglect their well-being after having children. This observation strongly influenced their decision to forego parenthood. They were determined to preserve the love and care they shared for each other without the distractions and responsibilities of raising a family. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson Elliot have chosen to forego having children and instead fill their lives with the companionships of beloved pets. Their profound affection for animals, particularly dogs, has always been evident as they have had a couple of canine companions residing in their home. However, their lives took a devastating turn when a fire engulfed their house, leaving only Mr. and Mrs. Johnson as survivors of the tragic incident. The heartbreaking reality was that all 6 of their cherished dogs perished in the flames, unable to escape the destructive inferno. From the outskirts of the building, the echoes of the dogs' agonizing howls reached their ears as they descended, but the flames engulfed them mercilessly before they ultimately succumbed. It was a desperate plea for rescue, a cry that pleaded for someone to intervene. Unfortunately, the blaze rendered any attempts to rescue them impossible, as entering the inferno became an unsurmountable mission. The weight of this unimaginable loss consumed them with the immense grief and anguish, and they couldn't help but blame themselves for the cause of their beloved pet's demise. On that fateful day, Mrs. Johnson had confined all 6 of their beloved dogs to a room to keep them from causing mischief and disturbances throughout the house. Unfortunately, as fate would have it, a sudden and terrifying fire broke out, catching them off guard. To secure their safety, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson prioritized their escape before alerting the fire service agency. Regrettably, when help arrived at the scene, it was too late to save the dogs. The devastating fire had consumed their lives, leaving behind only charred remains. Heartbroken and sorrowful, the Johnsons dedicated themselves to giving their departed pets a dignified farewell. They meticulously collected the remains they could find and arranged for a solemn burial, paying tribute to the loyal companions who had brought so much joy into their lives. At that moment, they resolved not to have any more pets, believing it would spare them from ever experiencing a profound loss again. However, their perspective shifted unexpectedly one Sunday morning as they returned from a trip to the mall. To their astonishment, they discovered a frail and emaciated dog waiting in front of their house. Its thin frame and pleading eyes tugged at their hearts, compelling them to reconsider their decision. Dawn, a 5-year-old dog, had endured months of an unimaginable abuse in their previous home. Neglected and malnourished, she was subjected to a life devoid of care and compassion. Instead of receiving love and attention, she was met with harsh treatment and physical violence whenever she sought to engage in playful interactions with her owners. The relentless mistreatment took a toll on her emotionally and physically, causing her to suffer deep-seated trauma and severe physical deterioration. Dawn finally reached her breaking point, driven by an unyielding desire for a better life. Determined to escape the cycle of abuse, she fled from her tormentors, embarking on a journey in search of a loving and safe environment. However, her suffering became too much for her frail body to bear. Exhausted, and with her spirit nearly broken, she collapsed in front of the home belonging to Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, her body clinging to the last remnants of life. Overwhelmed with sorrow upon witnessing Dawn's desperate struggle for breath, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson Elliot were profoundly saddened by the pitiful state of the dog. They acted swiftly, carefully assessing her condition and recognizing the telltale signs of abuse. Determined to help her, they wasted no time rushing her to the trusted veterinarian for a thorough examination. With compassionate expertise, The veterinarian confirmed their suspicions. Dawn had endured months of mistreatment and neglect. However, despite her pain, the vet assured the Johnsons that Dawn's physical health could be restored with proper care and treatment. Diligently, the vet attended to her needs, administering the necessary medical care to help Dawn recover. Throughout this process, something remarkable occurred. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Dawn experienced the warmth of genuine love and compassion from the Johnsons. This newfound affection touched her deeply, creating an unbreakable bond between Dawn and her newfound saviors. The love and care she received from the couple awakened a sense of trust and belonging within her, rendering her unwilling to let go of the Johnsons. Moved by Dawn's deep connection and unwavering loyalty, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson Elliott made a life-changing decision. They formally adopted Dawn as their newest family member, welcoming her into their loving home with open arms. They embraced the responsibility of caring for her and ensuring her well-being. Devoting themselves to Dawn's happiness, the Johnsons provided her with a nurturing environment, meeting her every need. To their delight, they witnessed a remarkable transformation in just a matter of days. The once emaciated and frail Dawn now thrived, her once slim figure replaced with a healthy and robust physique. However, an unexpected event unfolded amidst their joy and contentment, leaving the Johnsons in utter shock. Returning from their regular exercise session with Dawn, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson Elliott settled inside their home, engrossed in a conversation while savoring cold drinks. Little did they know that fate had an extraordinary twist for them that Saturday morning. Sensing something amiss, Dawn abruptly left the room, her instincts alerting her to the potential danger lurking outside. Stepping out into the open, Dawn's gaze fell upon a sight that filled her with concern and compassion. A young girl lay helpless and unconscious in the same spot she had previously been seen in the Johnsons' home when she had collapsed. Dawn, filled with urgency and determination, began barking incessantly, desperately trying to draw attention to the outside situation. However, her persistent barks went unnoticed, with the couple initially dismissing them as mere noise. Undeterred, Dawn persisted in her efforts, alternating between entering the house and barking from the outside, hoping that her actions would convey the gravity of the situation. Still, the Johnsons failed to grasp the significance of Dawn's behavior. After approximately 30 minutes of relentless barking, Dawn came to a realization. If no one was going to respond to her urgent pleas, she would take matters into her own paws. Drawing inspiration from scenes she had witnessed in movies, where pouring water on a fainting person would revive them, she dashed inside the house. Determined to aid the helpless girl, Dawn sought a bottle of cold water from the refrigerator. As she opened the fridge, the clatter caught the attention of Mr. and Mrs. John Elliott. Suddenly aware that something serious might be happening outside, they rushed to investigate, their concern mounting with each passing second. Despite their attempts to call Dawn back, she refused to relent, driven by an unwavering determination to assist the helpless girl. Alarmed by Dawn's persistent behavior, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson Elliott hastily followed her outside, their hearts pounding with concern and curiosity. What they encountered left them utterly astounded. The sight of the little girl, lying motionless and vulnerable. Reacting swiftly, the Johnsons scooped up the unconscious child and rushed her to the nearest hospital, their hearts filled with hope for her recovery. With the expertise of a pediatrician, the little girl received prompt medical attention, and to everyone's relief, she eventually regained consciousness. Eager to see the girl they had inadvertently rescued, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson Elliott entered the room where she was recuperating, unaware of the remarkable turn of events that awaited them. As the little girl looked on Dawn, she exclaimed joyfully, calling, "Doggy!" Suddenly, Dawn rushed towards her, showering her with affectionate licks and a warm embrace. It was heartwarming to witness the genuine happiness shared between the two. The profound events that had unfolded over the past few weeks profoundly impacted Mr. and Mrs. Johnson Elliott. Inspired by the love and care demonstrated by Dawn, they experienced a shift in their perspective. They recognized the importance of nurturing and guiding young lives for their fulfillment and imparting the lessons of compassion and responsibility to future generations. Driven by this newfound understanding, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson Elliott decided to have children, recognizing it as an opportunity to teach others the importance of cherishing these precious gifts bestowed upon parents by God. Nevertheless, despite their advanced years hindering the possibility of biological parenthood, they resolved to extend their love and compassion for children by adopting a young boy from a destitute orphanage. In addition, they made the selfless commitment of allocating half of their income to support children in underdeveloped nations, aiming to improve their lives and provide them with the opportunities for a brighter future. In a gesture of deep gratitude and appreciation, they named their son Don, a tribute to the remarkable dog who had opened their hearts and illuminated the path towards parenthood.